Jessica Matzke. I'm a third grade teacher. I live in not so sunshiny central New York as I look out the window and it's raining. So I've been teaching third grade for 6 years now, and I really like third grade. I think it's the perfect spot for me. I can be silly, I can be crazy, I have so much fun, and no matter what I do, my students think I'm the coolest person ever, which really works out well for me because I like that spot that I that I hold. I'm not sure if I taught any higher grades that I would still be so cool, but maybe one day I'll find out. So, in just a second, you can kind of see over here a picture of my classroom, and I'll show it to you a little bigger in a minute. And you probably noticed the Flipgrid tents. Those are the first things that pop out to you, at least when people come into my classroom. That's the first thing they notice. So these tents stay up in my room all the time, and even through this whole virtual teaching, my students have said multiple times, I miss the Flipgrid tents. They miss me too, but I think it's more, the Flipgrid tents that they miss. But what is Flipgrid? Maybe you know about it, maybe you use it a lot, maybe use it more than me, which I'd be surprised because I use it a whole lot. Or maybe this is your first time hearing about it, or you've heard about it before but have never taken the time to find out more about it. I'm going to give you a little overview on Flipgrid, and then we're going to get down into some really good information too. So what is Flipgrid? Flipgrid is a platform. You can get it as an app or access it on the web, and it's where students and teachers can communicate and collaborate through videos. Now, when I first started using Flipgrid, I thought it was just a way that students could respond to the teacher. And through using it for a couple of years now, I have seen that Flipgrid is so much more than just the students responding. They truly become creators through using Flipgrid. There's so many cool ideas too where you can app smash, so using another app and Flipgrid and putting them together, and the students really become creators. I love all those ideas, but today in this presentation, that's not what you're going to see. The reason is because teaching looks a lot different for all of us right now. Students are home, we are home, and we don't know the support that they're getting at home. We don't know, what other responsibilities they have going on at home. And so I want to give you ideas that can be accessible and independently done for all of your students. These ideas are going to be great for virtual teaching, but they can also be used once we're back in the classroom as well. So let me go ahead and let's get started. All right, so we're going to be doing Flipgrid across all subject areas. And like I said, these are ideas that you can start using right now in your classroom. I'm going to be talking about the different content areas like math, social studies, science, the special areas like music and art and PE class, and then our community connection. So what we can do to keep strengthening our classroom community, our school community, and our home and school connection as well. So before we talk about those ideas, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what my Flipgrid looks like. So here on the homepage are my grids, and you can see I have so many grids. Yeah, I don't really ever get rid of them. So if I wanted to add a new grid, I would go right here to add new grid, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it brain work. And then I can pick, what type of grid that I want it to be. I usually do school email for my students. For right now, I'm just going to do public and PLC, and then it's going to generate a flip code for you. You can change this if you would like. Notice that even if it's open to the public, you need a Microsoft or Google account in order to record to the grids. This is really cool because once your grid is ready, you can embed it into your website. You can share it on Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, or even to Remind. I use Google Classroom, big Google Classroom user, and I share my grids and my topics right to Google Classroom, and it's quick and easy, and it works very well. Once you've created your grid, you're going to want to customize it a little. This would not be my first choice of background. It's just not as bright as I would like it to be. So over on this pencil, I'm going to edit my grid. I could change my name if I wanted. I could even change my flip code right now. And I still have complete control over the type of grid I want, and I can switch that back and forth too. Down here under features, there's some different neat things you can do. One thing that I like and I suggest is captions. So your student videos are automatically captioned, and you can keep scrolling and personalize it by picking one of their pre-made templates that are all really cool and colorful and fun. Or, let me pick one. Or you can even create your own and upload it here. I'm going to create my grid. And now once you have your grid created, you're going to want to add new topics. So I'm going to call my first topic cats or dogs. And your recording time options are over here. Now, if you give 10 minutes, that's a real long time to listen to a class of 20 students talk for 10 minutes. So choose wisely. I'll show you an option that I do use 10 minutes for later on. And then down here, your question. Which would make a better pet, cats or dogs? I like to be real specific on what I'm expecting. Give at least 3 reasons why. That way my students know exactly what I'm expecting from that. Down here, you're going to put what's called a topic focus, so they'll see this alongside the question. You can keep it simple with uploading an image, just putting an emoji. Some other really cool things is that you can attach a YouTube video, upload your own video, or record your video right now. Especially in the virtual setting, I've been recording the video so that it's more personable and they're hearing from me directly. Right now, I'm going to add an emoji. I'm going to type dog. Cute little dog. You can clearly see what my response to this would be. And you could keep going, more options. And this is where it lets you add a link, which is really neat. And I'll show you what that looks like after. Another great feature is to be able to moderate. What that means is that your students would submit their video and they wouldn't see it. No one else would see it until you say it looks good. And you can activate likes down here so students can like their videos. And then you have options to play around with different feedback too. Once your topic's created, you have these same choices to share now your topics. You could share your grid and you can share just your topic. And that's generally how you would create a grid and a topic. That was really fast. I'm going to give you some resources if you want to see this again, see this slower. And even on the Flipgrid website, they have a really great resource for how to get started that I'll share with you. Let's look at our content areas now. So that's going to be your ELA, math, your reading, your writing, your science, your social studies. How can we use Flipgrid for them? Now again, I'm not going to be able to talk about each one of these, but I'll go through a couple with you quickly. You can link articles, and I'll show you examples of that. One of my students' favorites would be this sequencing activity. So here's a picture of us doing it in the classroom. Earlier in the school year, we've done it so many times. And what I did was I took a passage that they were reading. It was actually a story. And we were working on the sequencing skill. And so I split it up into all the events and they had to put them in the correct order. And once they did, these big letters here lined up and created a code. They took their code and they went to flipgrid.com, enter their flip code, and that was those letters that they got from being lined up here. Once they were in, it opened up to their topic, and then they could record their video. This has been a fan favorite. My students ask for it all the time. I'm going to replicate this virtually, so they won't have the manipulatives to move around in place, but you can do it in other ways that it is a little easier for them to manipulate online. So maybe with a Google Slide, so they can still move those up and down and come up with the grid code that way too. A lot of people will use the same idea where your grid code gets you into a grid and use it sort of as an escape room type code, which is a lot of fun too. So another one you could do is teach a topic, and I really like this one a lot because you can use it with so many different things. I've done it with fractions, I've done it with time, I've done it with complete sentences, and all you're going to ask your students to do is to teach a topic. They're going to take on the role of a teacher, they're going to plan out their little lesson, and they're going to teach you all about the topic. Once they've done that, they're going to go look at some of their classmates teaching, and they're just going to respond on their video, asking them questions, and start those conversations. Using screenshots in Flipgrid videos is something that your students can easily do. Now, this is getting close to an app smashing idea. I'm going to show you a quick example of what I mean right now.
8 rows of 2 to make 16 as my total area, and also my equation is 8 times 2 equals 16. That's all I got.
So you can see through using screenshots, my students were able to go to a different website, manipulate with those rubber bands on that geoboard there, and then come back and put it into Flipgrid. This is a neat thing for students also who don't want to be on camera, is they can do their work, make it the screenshot, and it can take up the whole screen, which is really cool. And this last one says use separate grids. So don't feel like just because you have one class, they need to stay on one grid. I use so many grids, as you saw just a minute ago, for so many different things. And that's okay. You can have different grids for, I'm going to do lesson 4 and I want it on its own grid today. I'm going to do lesson 5 on its own grid today. You don't have to stick to one grid. Think outside the grids. One cool thing that I like to do when teaching a lesson is if I have questions I want my students to answer. This is my example. We did this with math area. Oh, another area example. So I wanted my students to answer some questions and work on it together. So what I did is I actually recorded all of the questions. And instead of students creating their own responses, their job was to reply to each of my videos. Now, this is where moderation would be cool because I could keep it moderated so that they're working and answering the questions, but they're not seeing anyone else's responses. So I know that they're doing their own work and their own thinking. And then at the end, I can release all of their replies. So you can see here in my grid, I made a topic about an obstacle course where I had students creating their own obstacle courses and then challenging someone else to go through their obstacle course. This is something that is great for right now when they are home. I was able to link an article right here for them to read and see it goes right to Scholastic when I open it. And they were able to read this article all about Muddy Moves and talking about obstacle courses and see some videos and get some background knowledge of obstacle courses if they weren't sure. We even integrated some math, which was pretty cool. And then once they came here, then they could record the obstacle course that they created. So now I'm having them reading, they're talking about math, they're getting some really good PE in there, they're creating the obstacle course. There's a lot going in here into this one activity. And that's why I like that we can really use Flipgrid across all subject areas and at the same time too. Let's look at special areas. With special areas, that's going to be like your art class, your music class, chorus, band, maybe you have a STEM or tech class at your school, library, all of those different subjects here. So I have some ideas here for how you can use Flipgrid with special areas. That doesn't mean that your special area teacher has to be the one that's giving out this information, that's setting up these different things. You can actually do this in your classroom because, again, you can make so many ties to math and to ELA and to the other subjects that you teach, and you can be responsible for pulling in those special area topics too, especially right now, depending on what's going on at your school. I don't know, maybe your PE teachers aren't in direct communication with your students. But having a grid, you can invite them to something that's called a co-pilot. So if I go back to my grid, so when I look at this grid, instead of just having my name, you can see there's several names here. And that's because I have co-pilots or co-teachers that are added to this grid. When you're looking at a grid, let's go back to the one I created. You're going to see add a co-pilot. So right here, I'm going to put just this teacher and I'm going to invite them. And once they have accepted it, they will be a teacher on this grid just along with me. They can post just like you can post. One of my favorites from this list that I've done with my students already this year was the workout videos. It just made my day. We had students on there, and I say we because this was with some co-pilots, so it was more than just myself. We had students on there creating their own workout videos. Like, picture that right now. They got so into character, and they had one girl, she was so cute. She had on her headband, she put her hair up. I mean, she just looked the part, and she took on that persona of the workout instructor so well. So she did this workout video, and she's like, come on guys, keep going, and she's being inspiring and she's really encouraging. And then other students go on and they watch those workout videos. Now they are going to actually follow her along and do those workout videos. And then in the response, they're going to critique her. Okay, third graders critiquing each other. They're saying things like, I didn't feel like my heart rate really got up, or I noticed that when you were doing the push-ups, you did this instead of this. So they're really opening those conversations and critiquing, which is bringing in some great PE skills and conversations, and it's getting them up and active and moving. Again, we don't know how much activity they're getting at home right now. So any way that we can pull this in and help them be active is really awesome. One other thing I want to highlight here is the student-directed drawing. So I don't know about you, but there's been times where I pulled up on YouTube one of those directed drawing videos, especially around holidays. We did the Grinch one, and students love it. They love following the directions. They love drawing along with the person. So I was thinking, how cool. At first I was like, well, I could share a directed drawing YouTube link. They could get on, they could watch it, share their creation. But then I wanted to take it a step further, and I'm like, sure, I could do that once or twice, but then what if I have them on there creating their own directed drawing videos that students then watch each other's and try and follow their drawing too? So Flipgrid is allowing me to add this level of rigor that even right now, teaching virtually, I'm able to share with my students and have them really being these creators. So just like the workout videos now, instead of being the workout instructor, they're the artist, and they are the ones, and they are the ones guiding their classmates through this drawing. And at the end, they'll have something that they produce that they can show and share. This last one is community connections. And like I said, this is going to be how you keep going with your classroom community, your school community, and you make those home and school connections. This one is my favorite to talk about. I left it for last because if I did it first, I would talk way too much about it. So the one thing I showed you so far, and I talked about, was the idea of having pilots. And so you notice this one is third graders rock, and that's because this grid is for our whole third grade. So we are all teachers, we're co-piloting it together. One of these teachers is actually a teacher's assistant. And I think that's important too, that we keep using all teachers in the building to support our students and thinking of ways that they can really help and continue with those connections with those students. So my TA that works in my classroom, she goes on this grid, she posts topics. She's actually started posting topics more than I have on here because it's something that I can give her to do, and she can connect with the students through this grid, which is really nice. So we took this third grade rocks Flipgrid, and we're using it every single day, a new prompt every day. My school just recently had a virtual spirit week, which was really fun. And so we made topics for each one of the days that we had a spirit week activity. So we talked about like your new learning environment. I also added this workout thing here. PJ day, we did everything that the virtual spirit week did, and we extended it by using it in Flipgrid as well. When you talk about your classroom community, you want to keep things as normal as possible and keep going with some of those routines. So if you do a morning meeting normally in your classroom, do your morning meeting over Flipgrid and share it that way with your students. You take that 10-minute time chunk and you do all the parts of the morning meeting you normally would. And then in the responses, your students can do their greetings, their activities, their shares, all those other components of the morning meeting, and keep that sense of normalcy going. Along with that, with your read alouds, if you're reading a book right now, keep reading it aloud to your students and just do it over Flipgrid instead of in person. I also really like the idea of a trivia tournament. This is a new idea that I am thinking about and getting ready right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a grid, its own grid. And on that grid, I'm going to have many different topics, 10 or 15 topics that are all different trivia questions. I'm going to moderate my responses so that they can't see each other's responses just yet. I have to wait until the end and I'll release them all. And students and their families can get on and respond to each one of those trivia questions. And at the end, we'll have a winner. So I like to use Flipgrid to think of ways that I can continue to include families. And I think now more than ever, families are part of their students' education, and we have to find ways to really meaningfully help them do that. So before I leave, I want to give you some different resources you can check out. Here's some links to Flipgrid website, specifically their blog, and some different tools that they have. Like I said, they're really fantastic. So they have a getting started section if you really need to figure out what's a grid, what's a topic, if you need some more info on that. And they also have put out different ways that you can connect with home right now during virtual teaching. On all social media, you can find them at Flipgrid. And hashtag Flipgrid Fever is something that I use regularly to watch for ideas, to share my ideas. And Flipgrid has such a strong online community, and people just want to share and help each other. And so you follow along with that, add them to your PLN, and follow Flipgrid Fever. Another option is the Disco Library, which is right in Flipgrid. And that's a way for you to share your topics you already have created, so other educators with just a couple clicks can use it too. So I want to thank you for watching today. I do hope that you're able to collaborate with me a little further. So if you head to Flipgrid and Flipcode is Launch Ideas, scan this QR code or head to that link right there. Go ahead and let's collaborate. Add your ideas and let's have a place where we can keep adding ideas for how we're using Flipgrid right now while we teach virtually. On Instagram, find me at Matzke Teaches, and go ahead and use my link if you need to sign up for your own Flipgrid. Thank you so much for watching with me, and ask me questions, reach out to me on social media. I am here to help, and I'm excited to be able to help and share something that I love so much with everybody. Good luck to everyone. We're in this together.
Okay, hi, Bree. I know I'm not Miss Matzke, but I'm gonna help you. So, with mine, so you have to go to your Google Classroom. You have to hit View Assignment, and I think it'll either say Turn In or something like that, and it should be purple. And then you hit that button, and it's gonna ask you if you're sure. What's up, guys? I'm working stuff on, and that. Ready? You can't see him. So let's get started. I'm going to be showing you 5 minutes day by minute time. So let's get to the first one. Shots. Go like this. Clap. Second. Out, 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 out. 2 times. Squats. Ooch. Glide 5 times, not those. And do muscle jacks. And this is Mr. Marco's favorite chicken jacks. You can do 7 chicken jacks. 1, 2. And the last move is just aim and